need you to forgive me for doing it, because I'm doing it. Basic human rights, and it's right and wrong at this point, and I can't see another commercial.
Get ready to tackle Taylor's shady backroom deals, alleged betrayals, lies about her origins, and so much more as we investigate the lies she got caught in. Up first is the jet. Taylor Swift is a good person, or at least her marketing team presents her as one. We can't really know anything about her true self when she's had a PR rep for most of her life. What we do know is she has, numerous times, proclaimed her love and care for the environment, and spoken on how important taking care of the environment is. And it's true, it's really important, it's all we have left on this earth. But does Taylor really believe that? Well, they always say actions speak louder than words, so what have her actions been? Well, this year she's taken 170 flights on her private jet, giving her the single largest carbon footprint of any celebrity on Earth. Now, some of these flights can be justified. You know, she is a pop star that has a lot of obligations around the world, and so a few flights to reach critical events and venues on time could be excused. But Taylor flies for everything. Anything, it seems. She takes flights that do not need to be taken, where a simple bus or train would not only save significant money, but also would massively reduce the amount of carbon emissions she is responsible for. We've always heard that one person can't save the world for climate change, it's just too big of a problem, but one person can definitely contribute to climate change, and for someone who claims to be eco-friendly and supports saving the planet, Taylor contributes a huge amount towards the greenhouse gases and pollution of the world. In 2022, she was responsible for 8,300 tons of CO2, over 500 times the average American's output, and 1,000 times the average Europeans. In the span of 3 months, she produced 138 tons of CO2 just visiting her new boyfriend. Next is her high school popularity. In her early career, Taylor often posed herself in a certain light, one that was no doubt manicured to ensure she had the best chance of success. She posed herself as the sort of weird and quirky loner girl who wasn't popular in high school or with boys, and just had to escape by creating all of this beautiful music. Except Taylor wasn't some weird loner girl sitting in the back of the class. She's a tall, pretty blonde girl who can sing with rich parents. That's practically a recipe for middle and high school popularity. There's even an alleged video showing her to be a sort of ringleader amongst her classmates. But her high school career didn't last very long, as she only spent about 2 years in high school before her music took off and she started touring. Apparently, after she got big was when she started to be shunned, envied, and disliked by her peers. Taylor wouldn't have long to suffer though, as she was soon one of the great rising stars, and even invited her high school class to her CMA performance and award ceremony. Classy. Next is Lyrical Confusion. We like to think of there being an old Kanye and a new Kanye, as if the brainworms just appeared overnight, but Kanye West has always been a contentious figure. He just used to keep that contention out of politics and within music. But everyone knows about the infamous 2009 VMA award speech that was hijacked by an animated and boisterous Kanye West. Since then, their relationship has been rocky, with the early 2010s being full of will they, won't they drama, with it seeming like they were friends sometimes and then enemies at other times. But it resurfaced when Kanye West released the song Famous, in which he, using some derogatory language, made it clear he thought he was responsible for Taylor's success by making her so famous with the 2009 drama. Never mind that Taylor had already released several hit songs and was in the act of receiving an award, Kanye is apparently the true architect of her success. When the song was released, Taylor immediately fired back, making several public statements deriding the crass and demeaning remarks. But then the situation boiled over, with Kim K claiming that Taylor had in fact given the lyric the green light, that she was in on the joke with Kanye and was only now pulling back to make him look bad, effectively stabbing him in the back. Kim even provided an alleged recording of the phone call. Taylor's media team outright denied the claim, but it leaves the question, who did Taylor lie to here? Us or Kanye? Or did Kanye even ask for permission at all? Next is the 3-chord miracle. Taylor Swift is the epitome of not overcomplicating your work. Nearly every single song of hers can be played with a total of 3 chords. The ice cream chords, which are the foundation of modern pop music. That's not the drama. It's not just Taylor who's responsible for bland and samey popular music. No, the real drama comes from the fact that Taylor claims she actually accidentally learned how to play guitar. That's like saying I accidentally learned how to bake a souffle. Apparently, she managed to pick up those 3 chords from a couple of conversations with a handyman working on her parents' house, and from those few conversations, her natural talent and effortless skill made her a pop songwriter overnight. Except that's not quite the truth. I mean, the story's basically correct if by handyman you mean guitar teacher, and by a couple of conversations you mean months of consistent weekly guitar lessons, and by accidental you mean after significant time, effort, and intentional focus. And by effortless skill, of course, you mean dedication and hard work. If you mean she was taught over the course of months by a guitar teacher the same way every other normal guitarist learns it, then sure, you could say a handyman gave her some tips and she then became a worldwide pop star. Next are her humble roots. Taylor claimed to be just a good old country gal when she first hit the scene, born to a working class family that really knew the meaning of struggle, that she lived on the farm and worked on a ranch, that she's an honest success story from humble beginnings. Except that's not exactly accurate. Sure, she worked on a farm, a Christmas tree farm, but that was more of a holiday home. That's not where her family made their money. No, both of her parents were financial advisors for Merrill Lynch, one of the world's largest investment management firms. The Swift Group, founded by her father, actually still exists. Now, numbers are a little hazy, but for comparison, an average Merrill Lynch financial advisor is making about $130,000 a year, meaning with both parents working there, she was easily set up for life even before becoming a pop star. This is a really important thing to note, because Taylor posing herself as a farm girl who just made it from humble working class beginnings sets a false precedent. Making it as a musician is hard, very hard, but it gets a heck of a lot easier when you don't need to worry about paying rent, or affording food, or getting sick, or anything like that. There's a reason why the vast majority of successful artists come from wealthy backgrounds, because the arts don't pay well, especially when you start, and it's a lot easier to stick it out and keep working until you find success when you simply don't need to worry about keeping a roof over your head, food in your fridge, and something as silly as a job. Next is Messy Mayer. Taylor has gotten a lot of mileage out of her relationship with John Mayer. It's not exactly a surprise. She made her fame writing songs about ex-lovers, and it only makes sense to stick with what brought you to the dance in the first place. That, plus John being a renowned and famed guitarist and musician, really makes their relationship a valuable deposit for her to mine for as much platinum and gold as she can get. And boy did she. Dear John and other songs absolutely savaged the musician, especially calling to attention the really icky and uncomfortable age gap, with Taylor being 19 and John being 31 when they started dating. Now, first, I'll preface this by saying, yeah, that's really gross. No 31-year-old should be dating a 19-year-old, and yeah, it is pretty creepy. But John fought back against the accusations of exploiting and manipulating her by reminding the world they only dated for 3 weeks, not even a full month. Obviously, some pretty horrific things can be done in far less than a month, but Taylor posed the relationship as a toxic mess that ripped at her psyche, when it seems like that might be a bit of artistic license. And finally, the exploitee to exploiter. Age gap relationships with teens are gross. Flat out gross. And I'm sure that's something Taylor would agree with, and has, as we just observed, made many comments to that effect. But power imbalances and exploitation can be present with anyone, and just because you were once on the young side of an age gap doesn't give you the right to go out and then be on the old side of one. Because just 3 years after her supposedly horrific relationship with John Mayer, Taylor was the one taking advantage of someone younger. She dated Connor Kennedy when she was 22 and he was 18. However, they first met when he was 17, right after his mother had passed, and she bought the house next to his, which sounds a little creepy. She dated Taylor Lautner when he was 17 and she was 20, and she dated Harry Styles when he was 18 and she was 23. These aren't the worst age gaps in Hollywood, to be fair, but they are still pretty unsettling. It seems John Mayer may not be the only famed musician who likes them younger than he is. Remember folks, harm is harm, exploitation is exploitation, and many of these relationships give me a serious ick.
Number 10, Hilaria Baldwin. The podcaster and former yoga instructor is best known as the glamorous, mysterious woman whom Alec Baldwin is married to. In a recent scandal, Hilaria Baldwin found herself caught in a massive lie. It all started when comedian Amy Schumer made a joke on Instagram, posting a postpartum photo of Hilaria holding her 3-month-old baby while wearing lingerie. She was making light of the fact that she looks like a Sports Illustrated model just months after giving birth to her 5th child. Then Hilaria got upset and went on Instagram Live in response, calling for body inclusivity, and said that the movement also needed to include women who look like her. But in the heat of the moment during the 4-minute video, Hilaria forgot to speak in the Spanish accent that she's been putting on for close to a decade. This resulted in a massive internet investigation, where people found out that she is really in fact not from Spain, as she claimed multiple times in the past, but she was born in Boston, USA. Oh, and her name isn't Hilaria, it's Hillary. Fans also dug up a shocking clip of her on the Today Show, pretending not to know the English word for cucumber. Eventually, she started backpedaling like crazy and claimed that she first visited Spain when she was a baby, and her family returned at least once every year. But she declines to specify how much time she spent there altogether. So why would you claim to be Spanish if you only vacationed there a couple of times? Number 9, Millie Vanilli. Perhaps one of the most infamous scandals in music history came when the duo was caught in one of the biggest lies ever. Fans had long speculated that Rob Pilatus and Fab Morvan, two guys with thick European accents and limited command of the English language, couldn't possibly have created hits like Girl You Know It's True and Blame It on the Rain. And yet the news of their deception still came as a shock to many. As they enjoyed the trappings of their monumental success, Rob and Fab struggled to live with their secret. On July 21st in 1989, the group's backing tape malfunctioned during a live performance at a club in Bristol, Connecticut. And as the words "Girl You Know It's" repeated over and over, Rob panicked and ran off stage. The incident had no immediate effect on their career, but he would later call the incident the beginning of the end. Figuring their time was running out, the two turned against their producer Frank Farian, who of course was in on it the whole time, and they demanded to sing on their next album. As the battle intensified, Farian had no choice but to call a press conference and spill the beans. He was unapologetic about the scam, and in 1991 he released a new studio album credited to the real singers. But for Millie Vanilli, the consequences of being found out were catastrophic. They were stripped of the Grammys they had won for Best New Artist, and duped fans filed a class action lawsuit against them. The scandal ended up following them both forever. Number 8, Brian Williams. Once an extremely trusted news reporter, Williams's career was put in jeopardy when he was caught in a lie of his own making. Over the years, he told a shifty story about the day that he flew aboard a US Army helicopter during the 2003 invasion of Iraq. In later versions of the story, he said that his helicopter was hit and forced down by enemy fire. He was caught in a big lie though, as yes, that did happen, but he wasn't even on the helicopter. He embellished the story to make it seem like he was right in the middle of the action, when in reality, he was more of a witness. He said, "The story actually started with a terrible moment a dozen years back during the invasion of Iraq, when the helicopter we were traveling in was forced down after being hit by an RPG. Our traveling NBC News team was rescued, surrounded, and kept alive by an armor mechanized platoon from the US Army 3rd Infantry. Except that never happened. It wasn't long before the other soldiers who were actually on that helicopter that was hit and had to perform an emergency landing posted on Facebook that they didn't recall Williams or his crew being on board. They said that he arrived approximately an hour after the formation had already landed. Called out for his fabrication, Williams came clean and called the recollections a mistake, saying that he conflated one aircraft with another. Number 7, Hillary Clinton. During her speech at George Washington University in 2008, Hillary had been regaling supporters on the campaign trail with exciting tales of a trip that she made to Bosnia in March of 1996. In her retelling of the story, she made herself out to be a brave action hero, as she claimed that she was sent to places that her husband, Bill Clinton, could not go because they were too dangerous. She said, "I remember landing under sniper fire. There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base. That's not what happened." In fact, there was even a CBS News video released that shows Hillary arriving on the tarmac under no visible duress and greeting a child who offers her a copy of a poem. Immediately after the speech that day, a reporter asked her about the other people that were on the trip who had come out challenging her story. In response, Hillary doubled down and said, "There was no greeting ceremony and we basically were told to run to our cars." Now that is what happened. But she retracted the remarks only a week later and said said that she had misspoke and that she had been told there was a threat of sniper fire in the area, but obviously she just wanted to up the ante and add a little bit of drama where there was none before. Number 6, Ed Sheeran. The singer cut his face quite noticeably back in 2017, and soon reports emerged that during a heavy night of drinking, Princess Beatrice had sliced his face open with a sword while she was trying to knight his friend at a party. The story goes that when she went to lift the sword, she accidentally slashed his cheek. Ed went with that story for quite some time until it was revealed that he had caught himself in a lie, but it was none other than James Blunt who set the record straight because he was there at the time. He exposed his friend and claimed that the whole Princess Beatrice fiasco was just completely made up. Instead, he said, Ed was drunk, messing around, and he cut himself. We made a fancy story up, people fell for it. It was very embarrassing. But interestingly enough, Ed has since gone on the Graham Norton show and refused to admit that it was made up, saying, I can't talk about it. I don't know what will happen if I do. Then his manager Stuart Camp addressed the incident on a podcast and called Princess Beatrice an effing idiot. Quote, certain people said, oh, you should lie and say it wasn't her and say it was someone else. I said, well, we're not telling anyone anything. I'm not lying. Just because someone's an effing idiot and they've been waving a sword around when you're all drunk, it's not safe. So what really happened? Who was lying? Maybe we don't know the truth after all. Number 5, Meghan Markle. In the first installment of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Netflix documentary, the Duchess of Sussex explains how she became estranged with her father, Thomas Markle. She said that she attempted to contact him multiple times in the lead up to her 2018 royal wedding, after it had emerged that he had staged paparazzi photos for money. During the documentary, messages between Thomas and Meghan were shown on the screen, but Meghan claimed that his responses seemed fake and his phone had been compromised. She said, it was really weird. You know how people text, right? My dad used a lot of emojis and a lot of ellipses and ... and this was just the opposite, and it called me Meghan. I was like, he's never called me Meghan any day that I've lived on this planet. And I was like, that's not my dad. However, Thomas has now come out saying that it really was him who sent those texts. He said, I wrote every word that I sent from that phone, which is still in my possession. For her to claim my phone was compromised is simply not true. I wrote that text as I lay in a hospital bed after having 2 heart attacks and having stents put in. I wasn't angry, I was in the hospital. They never once asked how I was doing. When I got their messages, I was upset. I thought I didn't deserve those messages. So obviously, it really was him who sent those texts. Number 4, Lance Armstrong. Some people have called this the biggest sports scandal in history. Lance was the best pro cyclist at one point in time. The American won the sport's most prestigious event, the Tour de France, 7 consecutive times from 1999 to 2005. But he was holding in an explosive secret that would tarnish his reputation forever. In 2012, Armstrong denied that he ever relied on performance-enhancing substances, calling the allegations against him outlandish and heinous. But when the US anti-doping agency released compelling evidence, his web of lies crumbled. He eventually admitted to Oprah Winfrey in 2013 that yes, he did in fact cheat, and stated that his mythic, perfect story was one big lie. Calling himself deeply flawed, he said, this is too late. It's too late for probably most people, and that's my fault. This was one big lie that I repeated a lot of times. He also admitted that he was a bully in the sense that he tried to control the narrative, sometimes by spewing venom at ex-teammates he thought were disloyal, as well as suing people and publications that accused him of cheating. What's more, Armstrong insisted that he never felt bad or felt that it was wrong when he used the performance-enhancing substances. The whole thing remains one of the most dramatic sports interviews ever. He was subsequently stripped of his 7 Tour de France titles and bronze Olympic medal, and he was forced to step down as chairman of Livestrong, and all of his achievements were gone in an instant. Number 3, Suki Waterhouse. The British model and singer told a fairly innocuous lie when she claimed to use Coca-Cola to wash her hair. Speaking to Us Weekly in 2015, Suki said, I rinse my hair with Coca-Cola sometimes. I don't like my hair when it's washed, it's fine and limp, but Coca-Cola makes it tousled, like I've gone through the Amazon or something. So apparently because the popular drink makes her strands appear more textured, she uses Coca-Cola. Fast forward to 7 years later, and she admitted on Twitter that she lied about the whole thing. When a fan asked her if she still rinses her hair with a soda, she confessed, okay, I have to be honest, I got bored doing hair interviews and said this, I have never done this. She then retweeted an article written by someone who had tried her beauty method and said, I did Jessica dirty. In case you're wondering, there is a reason why some people have said the Coca-Cola method might actually work. Apparently it contains something called phosphoric acid, a very low pH. So when you apply it to your hair, the cuticle tightens, which makes your strands look smoother and your curls look more defined. Others say the sugar adds build up to your hair, making it look fuller and giving it more shine. But unfortunately though, it's not going to cleanse your hair. Instead, it'll leave in dirt particles, and long-term use will be very unpleasant for the scalp and hair from a conditioning point of view. Number 2, Britney Spears. The pop star was dating Justin Timberlake in 1999, and they were considered the it couple as soon as they first got together. Britney was just 19 years old and under immense pressure to maintain a public image that was both sexy and innocent. This was difficult when every TV and radio interview ever was asking her if she and Justin Timberlake were sexually active. At one point, she addressed the speculation and said, "The virginity issue. It's a personal decision and it reflects how I feel right now about myself. There are so many emotions involved that I would like to be able to wait until I know I'm with the right person and I'm married." But for his part, Justin obviously didn't feel like he had as much at stake, and he revealed that yes, they had in fact been intimate. During a conversation with Hot 97, Justin was asked if they'd ever done the deed, to which he said, "I did it. I'm dirty. I'm in so much damn trouble, man. I'm going to get calls from my mother." Britney addressed his confession years later, saying, "It was 2 years into my relationship with Justin, and I thought he was the one, but I was wrong. I didn't think he was gonna go on Barbara Walters and sell me out." Years later, the documentary Framing Britney was released, and it revealed how Justin used the breakup to boost his career. As a result, he immediately found himself at the receiving end of a ton of backlash over his past treatment of Britney. And coming in at number 1, Taylor Swift. The singer was called out big time in 2016 when Kanye West released a song called Famous, which was met with extreme backlash. In the song, he name drops Taylor and says, "I made that be famous." In response, the singer clapped back at the 2016 Grammys, saying, "There are going to be people along the way who are going to try and undercut your success or take credit for your accomplishments or your fame." Then Kim Kardashian came to Kanye's defense and leaked a recording of Taylor agreeing to the lyrics over the phone when Kanye called her from the studio. This caused a massive scandal to erupt, and fans quickly called Taylor a snake for seemingly lying that she had never consented to him using those lyrics. The whole world thought that she was well aware of the song and not fazed by it, but it wasn't until 4 years later that the phone call made the rounds on social media and exonerated Taylor of any wrongdoing. During the call, you can hear Kanye reassure her that the lyrics won't be mean, and he conveniently leaves out the fact that he's going to call her the B word in the song. So that's why there are still debates going on to this day over whether or not Taylor did anything wrong.
Number 10, Botox. Has Jennifer had Botox in the past? She would tell you no, but many dermatologists would disagree. Jen started receiving major backlash after the release of her skincare brand JLo Beauty. She claimed that this was the secret to her ageless appearance, which many just don't believe. The star shared a makeup-free selfie and her skin looks a little bit too perfect. She has been quoted in the past saying, "I haven't had Botox to this day. I'm not that person." She went on to claim that it was olive oil and not a procedure of any sort, saying, "My mom used to say that olive oil was a cure-all for everything. So when we went to do this, that was the first thing I said. It has to have olive oil." After this statement, the dermatologist Corey Hartman took to Instagram and wrote his opinion, saying, "I think Jennifer is probably forgetting if she's had Botox, but I know for sure that she's used more than olive oil to maintain that glow." Going on to add, "To each their own, good luck JLo with the olive oil, we don't believe you, but we still love you, Jenny." Jennifer shot back though, and when asked about the Botox speculation during an interview with People, she said, "I'm telling you what I do works. Please don't call me a liar, I don't lie about things. I've been pretty honest about my whole life." She even responded to some of them criticism on her Instagram and commented back at fans claiming that she had Botox, saying, "For the 500th millionth time, I've never done Botox or any injectables or surgery." But it seems many are in agreement that it would just be impossible to achieve that look at her age with just olive oil. Number 9, the movie line interview. Was she using this interview as a chance to bash her fellow women in the industry? Or was she, like she has claimed, just in a fan mentality? The movie line interview from 1998 is now infamous because of JLo's interesting critiques of other women in the industry. One woman she attacked was Madonna and her acting. When asked about Madonna, she allegedly responded by saying, "Do I think she's great? No. Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, and I'm harder on people when they say, 'Oh, I can do that, I can act.' And I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." Gwyneth Paltrow was another victim of this interview. When asked about Gwyneth, JLo responded by saying, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God I don't remember anything she's in. Some people get hot by association." Going on to say, "I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Cameron Diaz was next up in the pretty harsh interview. Jen said when discussing Cameron, "She's a lucky model who's been given a lot of opportunities. I just wish she would have done more with it." She went on on to kind of dismiss the actress by saying she's beautiful and has a great presence, though in My Best Friend's Wedding, I thought when directed she's good. She was then asked about this interview 20 years later, and she did admit that she knew it really angered some people. She said at the time, "I was still in that kind of fan mentality, back in the Bronx. And then you go, oh wait a minute, you have to present yourself in the way that you are." Going on to say, "So I learned to be more responsible." Number 8, controlling. One thing I'm sure Jen would deny is how controlling she's been known to be. Sources have come forward to speak about how Jen and Ben Affleck's marriage is going, and it seems like there's a lot that annoys her about him. An insider claims that Ben's smoking habit is a big deal for Jen, as this is one of his long-standing habits. They revealed he's promised to give it up, but with all her nagging, he's smoking even more. Besides his most likely very annoying smoking habit, the source also reveals Ben may also have a bit of a cleanliness problem as well, sharing Ben doesn't clean up after himself, which really irritates Jennifer. The source also discusses the way Jennifer goes about nagging her husband, saying she's been known to yell at him and point her finger. It makes people wonder if she mistakes him for a dog. Not only this, but Jen really threw Ben under the bus when she suggested in an interview that Ben had no idea how to dress himself. She recalled a conversation with him and said, "I did kind of like say, you need to be, you're a movie star, you should wear a suit. You should do this with your hair." Going on to say he didn't do anything he didn't want to do. He had some good fashion moments when he was with me. Number 7, the makeup artist. This is more of an instance of JLo believing a lie and then completely running with it. In the mid-2000s, Jen really came after her longtime makeup artist, Scott Barnes. This came after rumors began circulating that someone in her inner circle had leaked information about her private marriage ceremony to Mark Anthony. During an interview, Scott explained what it was like to be basically banished by Jen for a whole year until it was revealed that someone else leaked the information. He said at the time, "It was like I had the Black Plague." He went on to explain that while he did get his job back, Jen supposedly didn't apologize. Scott revealed, "I went back to work with her and we just never spoke about it again, which is even weirder." Number 6, the Mariah Carey feud. It's been a long-known rumor that Mariah Carey is JLo's #1 nemesis, and after some of the reported incidents, it really does seem like this rumor is true. This feud dates back to the 90s and they have both since denied that there is no bad blood, but that just really does not seem to be the truth. Allegedly, the beginning to this long fight began because of Mariah's ex-husband Tommy. In her 2020 memoir, The Meaning of Mariah, she explained how she was working on the single Loverboy when she obtained a sample from the Yellow Magic Orchestra song, what she was going to use for her single. But it seems like Tommy, who was the head of Sony Music, was a bit bitter over the divorce and had other plans. Mariah wrote in her memoir saying, "After hearing my new song using the same sample I used, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label." But even after Mariah continued telling fans and interviewers that she didn't know JLo, it wasn't hard to figure out that this was who she was referring to. It really only went downhill from here though, and during a 2002 interview, Mariah threw more shade JLo's way. When asked about her feud with JLo, she responded by saying, "There are rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. My whole thing is singing and writing songs. I've been doing this my whole life, and singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent and I'm grateful for it. Her thing is something different." Of course, JLo was aware of what was being said about her to the public, and during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live, she ended up giving her side of the story. When asked about Mariah, she responded by saying, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day I've read some things that she said about me that weren't the greatest." She continued on by saying, "But we have never met, we don't know each other. I think it's from word of mouth of things that have happened in the past." Number 5, trouble in paradise. Has Jen been lying about her struggles of married life? When they first got together, an insider revealed that Jennifer was walking on air. But now it appears she's come down to reality, as multiple sources have claimed the honeymoon phase has worn off since settling into their life in their home in LA. While both are working with busy careers and the stress of blending two families, could it all just be too much? A source tells the press they're back to the grind of work and parenting. Reality has set in. The same source also explained that only recently, Ben stormed out of the house following an intense fight. Allegedly, the couple have been arguing non-stop since the wedding. A second source says, before the wedding, Jennifer put on an Oscar-worthy performance for Ben, pretending to be perfect and an easygoing wife, claiming Ben was blinded by love and just didn't know what he was really getting himself into. The two have been spotted at various events and look to be fighting in various clips. But could this just be out of context moments, or is there some truth to what the sources have revealed? Number 4, demanding. Being called a diva throughout her career is nothing new to Jen. She has a bad rep in Hollywood for being supposedly somewhat of a diva, and the evidence is pretty incriminating. Reportedly, Jennifer refused to travel for a commercial that she agreed to do. For the commercial, she was meant to drive through the Bronx, where she grew up, to show what inspired her. But reportedly, she refused to leave LA, forcing a body double to have to step in and do all the work to make the ad for her. Her hotel demands are also known to be excessive. Allegedly, while staying at a hotel in London, she demanded a suite that was fit for royalty, with roses, specific brand of candles, and baked cookies with plain M&Ms. Insiders have come forward to share their experiences as staff when encountering J-Lo. Reportedly, while flying, Jen refuses to acknowledge any staff. An airline attendant claims he offered her a drink, but she didn't even look at him before looking at her personal assistant and said, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke with lime." Even with all the celebrities and other staff members coming forward to discuss their experiences with Jen, she's continued to deny her diva energy. She said during an interview, "I got a moniker of being a diva, which I never felt I deserved, which I don't deserve." Going on to say, "I've always been a hard worker, on time, and doing what I'm supposed to do." Number 3, her friendship with Garner. How are J-Lo and Ben's ex-wife Jennifer Garner really getting along? While the two would say that there's no bad blood, is that really the truth? While one source claims that the two have forged a friendship, other insiders' claims seem to contradict this. During an interview, Garner shares how she's been working hard to not look at any news regarding her or her ex-husband. She said, "I work hard to not see either of us in the press. It doesn't make me feel good, even if it's something nice about one of us." She went on to add, "I don't need to see my family made into a meme." After she was asked if she has seen the Ben memes, and she replied by saying no, but admitting that he is quite meme-worthy. This didn't sit well with J-Lo at all, and an insider shared, "It's Jennifer's way of saying Ben looks miserable, and all of his appearances in the public are lame. How could J-Lo not take it personally?" Adding that the comments made were a big FU to J-Lo. The source further revealed the star's feelings, saying, "Part of her wants to fire back and tell Jennifer off, but she's smart enough to not make too much of a scene publicly. So it'll all be up to Ben to be the referee. Seems like maybe she's some pretty strong opinions that she'd rather the press not know." Number 2, the 2003 split. Seems like Ben and Jen have varying views as to why they called off their first wedding back in 2003. Jen supposedly has claimed that the two just weren't seeing a future with similar visions together. A source told Page 6 they were on very different paths at the end of it. Jennifer was ready to settle down and have kids, but Ben wasn't keen on giving up his bachelor lifestyle just yet. Going on to say she got tired of waiting for him to come around, even though it broke her heart to end things. But is this what Ben felt at the same time? In a conversation that was released after the two split, revealed how Ben hated all the attention the wedding was getting, which is one of the reasons the two called for the original postponement of their big day. He reportedly says, "It's driving me crazy, everything is out of control." And at number 1, we have Selena. Reportedly, Jen can't handle media attention and critics as well as she'd like people to believe. Back in 1997, Jen was criticized by a journalist for her role in the film Selena. Though many people loved the movie and Jen's performance, one journalist really felt the star's wrath for not loving it. The journalist wrote at the time, "The one thing you don't do when you walk out of this movie is say, 'Who's that girl?'" During an interview, Jen said, "There are certain people marked for death already. I have my little list of journalists that have treated me unfairly." It didn't end there though, and it looked like she really couldn't handle the heat. Jen was quoted by Animated Times that when asked about the review, she said, "I was totally happy with my work on Selena, but out of the 700 reviews, I can quote, 'The one thing you don't do when you walk out of this movie is say, 'Who's that girl?'" Going on to say, "When another person from the same magazine came up to me, the first thing I said to her was, 'You tell that other bee that writes for your magazine that I'm never talking to her again.'" Definitely a note for other journalists is don't write a bad review about J-Lo because she will never forget. Number 10, the second tape. Ray J's former manager came in hot a couple years ago, accusing Kim of lying about her second alleged sex tape. The original tape of Ray J and Kim was released in 2007, and many believe this was Kim's kickstart for her and her family's careers. But as so many years have gone by, you would think this drama would be more or less over, but you would be wrong. The former manager, Whack 100, shared in a podcast in 2021 that he has a second, more graphic version of the tape. And after a suspected sneak peek was released of the teaser clip, he commented on a video of TMZ discussing it, saying, "Now I'm confused. First, Kim's attorney said I'm lying, this doesn't exist. Second, now Kim is saying she's blocking us and releasing it. So now I guess she's admitting she and her team have been lying." Kim had some thoughts about these accusations though. During a teaser clip for her new season of her reality show, she tells her attorney, "Over my dead body is this happening again. I know the right attorneys this time and I'm not gonna let this happen to me again." Going on to say, "I have all the time, all the money, and all the resources to burn them all to the effing ground." Kim has never fully said there isn't a second tape, but her spokesperson told the press last year, Kim remains firm in her belief that there is no new second tape that exists. Going on on to add, after 20 years, she truly wishes to move on from this chapter and focus instead on the positive things she continues to do as a mother, entrepreneur, and advocate for justice reform. Number 9. Her natural hair. Is Kim's waist-length hair really all natural? Many believe there's absolutely no way. After photos were shared on Kourtney Kardashian's Poosh Instagram account, internet critics believe she was lying about how natural her hair really is. The post was all about how to achieve natural hair growth, but many Instagram users just didn't buy it. Poosh posted 3 photos of Kim showing her long, healthy-looking hair. The brand captioned the photos with, "What all-natural ingredient does Kim swear by for hair growth?" We're sharing the secret to her luscious locks at the link in our bio. A few began believing that she could actually be wearing a wig for this photo shoot, and brought up how much damage she has done to her hair over the years, which wouldn't result in hair that looks so healthy like that. One social media user wrote, "LOL, she's literally wearing a wig in this photo. Kim has been practically bald since the Met last year when she fried her hair with bleach." Another user joked by saying, "I'm sure her extensions are human hair, so technically it is all natural. Gotta find those baby bar loopholes." Number 8. Northwest. Parents embellishing their children isn't usually looked at too deeply, but did Kim go too far when talking about her daughter North? Kim shared a short video on Instagram with the caption, "How sweet is North surprising me tonight with this for us to relax before the Met." The clip showed a room lit by white candles and matching white roses with petals all over the floor, and balloon letters which spelled out the words Karl Lagerfeld Met Gala, just above 2 massage beds. But fans were unsure that a 9-year-old would think to do this pretty lavish situation. One Reddit user posted a screenshot of the story and said, "There is no way North would do this." Another commented, "Why do adults lie? Even when they certainly don't have to. I don't get it. You have all the money, why still lie?" One other Reddit user questioned how North would even go about doing this at all, and wrote, "How would North even arrange that? What 9-year-old would call the front desk requesting massages, specific Met Gala balloons, white floral arrangements, and 30 candles?" What do you guys think? Is this just another case of Kim getting caught in a lie? Number 7. The bag reveal. Kim has claimed in the past her lashes are all natural, but after spotting some interesting products in her cosmetic bag, fans aren't so sure. Kim shared to her fans what's in her Chanel bag while she travels. She showed viewers brands like Neutrogena, Secret, and Latisse. While many were surprised she was using brands that are easily found at any local store, others believed they caught the star in another lie. Kim has shared before that she only ever uses a drop of mascara and that her eyelashes are completely natural, but Latisse is a product that helps with eyelash growth. One fan immediately called out the star and wrote, "Kim's showing us she uses Latisse eyelash growth after claiming she doesn't." Not only that, but the social media users didn't believe that she actually uses drugstore products in her day-to-day life, considering just how wealthy she is. One user joked, "Behold the bag of a billionaire, they're just like us." Number 6. The dress. The Marilyn Monroe dresses have been the root of a lot of controversy for Kim. We all know about the one she wore to the Met Gala, but what about the green sequin dress? Kim uploaded a series of photos last year that showed her in Marilyn's green dress while holding a Golden Globes award. Marilyn wore this dress during the Golden Globes back in 1962. Kim captioned her photos by saying, "In my quest to find the Jean-Louis hand-beaded dress that I wore to the gala, I discovered Heritage Auctions owned Marilyn's iconic green sequin dress." Going on to say, "Further into my research, I found that the owner of the Golden Globe that she received that evening was none other than my friend Jeff Letham." In an interview with Vogue, she claimed to own 3 replicas of Marilyn's dresses, claiming to have the green sequin dress, the Mr. President Happy Birthday dress, and another unnamed one. But this left users of the Marilyn Monroe fan page kind of confused. The fan page questioned Kim and wrote, "Who is it that actually owns Marilyn's 1962 Golden Globes gown? First you say it was Julian's Auctions, and then you updated your post to say it was Heritage Auctions." Another user begged for the star to stop claiming she could fit into these iconic dresses, and commented, "Time to call off the charade. You couldn't fit into the JFK dress, which we now know, and you couldn't fit into the Golden Globes dress." One other Marilyn Monroe fan worried about the dress, fearing it had been changed since it was owned by the star in the 60s, and wrote, "The dress doesn't look the exact same. The back is different. Was it altered?" After the backlash she received over wearing the dress, I can't imagine she will wear one of her dresses in the future, replica or not. Number 5. Photoshop. Photoshop drama has followed Kim for ages as to if she does or doesn't use it. Though she has been caught in the act a few times, the recent post to promote her Skims bikini has outraged fans. She captioned the photo with, "I just try on Skims, swim, and pray it doesn't rain forever in LA." The photo shows Kim posing in front of a mirror in her bathroom in the bikini, but internet critics have claimed that the whole thing looks pretty distorted. One user wrote, "Am I the only one burnt out on Photoshop Kim? The amount of editing is absurd. Just post a regular pic, nobody cares you're in your 40s. Another added, "I wonder if she realizes how badly her photos are photoshopped." One other fan even claimed it was so badly photoshopped that she looks like she's missing her middle finger on the hand holding the phone for the selfie. They commented, "Why was this picture edited so much? Right side finger looks erased and the inner thighs on the left are pixelated due to trims." Number 4. Weight loss. Has Kim lied about her weight loss in the past? Before showing up to the Met in Marilyn's dress, Kim told fans that she had followed a strict diet, losing 16 pounds in order to fit into the gown. Kim showed her fans her body scan on her Instagram story, and of course it was analyzed pretty fast. Kim explained that a year ago her body fat percentage was at 25% and now it's 18.8%. But after it got reposted in a Kardashian Reddit board, people began noticing her lie. A Redditor wrote, "According to this, Kim is 10 pounds lighter than she was last year. So much for that, I lost 16 pounds to fit into Marilyn's dress." Another user questioned Kim and wrote, "Didn't she say she continued on her fat loss journey and lost about 20 plus pounds?" Going on to say, "It's just a never-ending loop of lies with this family." Number 3. The fillers. Last year, Kim was asked if she ever had filler or Botox. She responded by saying, "I've had a little bit of Botox, but I've chilled actually. But no filler, I've never had filler in my cheeks, I've never filled my lips." But after downplaying her cosmetic procedures that fans believe she has had done, it's faced a bit of backlash. Even when Kim was pressed more about the details of filler or even eyelash extensions, she continued to deny and claimed her look was attainable. But it looks like the truth is really coming out now. Jessica DeFino, the beauty editor who used to work as an assistant editor for the Kardashians app, came forward to share the truth about the family. She tweeted, "Remembering that time I was on a press trip with a Allure editor and Kim's go-to cosmetic injector. The injector told us everything she's done to Kim's face off the record." Going on to say, "Obviously I understand the site can't publish that, but it shouldn't publish lies either." Jessica claimed that Kim was promoting the lie that anyone can look like a Kardashian. Jessica explained further her feelings on Allure publishing this reportedly false story, saying, "The tone says the story is probably full of harmful lies, but we're going to let Kim have the final word, publish it, and profit from the clicks and affiliate sales anyways." Number 2. No grays. Do you believe Kim has ever had a gray hair in her life? During an appearance on Live with Kelly and Ryan, Kim claimed that she never found a gray hair on her head ever. This all started when Ryan asked Kim how she keeps up with her platinum hair, trying to push to see how much work really goes into keeping up with bleaching your roots. Kim said at the time, "When I dye my roots, it's going to take probably 8 hours, so I've been lazy. It's so much work." But after moving towards the topic of grays, Kim shared, "I have not gone gray yet. I haven't had one gray hair yet. Isn't that weird?" But according to an expert, this is highly unlikely. Madeline Preston told Cosmopolitan, "The majority of women are bound to see a few gray hairs in their 30s, and by the age of 50, most would expect to have more than 50% of their scalp turn gray." Though of course it's different for everybody, Kim was caught in this lie. After fans went back and did some research, Kim actually shared that she got her first gray at 37, and she oddly enough shared this info on Live with Kelly and Ryan. During that time, she said how stressful it was coming to the defense of her then husband Kanye West when he was receiving so much backlash. She explained, "I will say he gave me my first gray this week, and I'm blaming that on him." After being caught in this lie, one user wrote on social media, "What a weird thing to lie about. I got my first gray at like 24. Another added, "Is this an attempt at a flex?" And at number 1, we have the sleep schedule. Kim shared on her Instagram story her sleep report. She captioned the screenshot with, "Great sleep score today. I finally got my heart rate down at night and my HRV up, and it feels so good." The photos showed that she scored a nearly 100% in readiness and landed at a 94% in sleep. The report said, "Seems like you've been getting the right amount of sleep lately." In an interview not long before this post, Kim went through her morning routine. She revealed, "On a general day, I wake up at 5:45 a.m. for my workout at at 6, and I'll pick up my workout clothes the night before. Going on to say, I keep it basic and pretty much wear the same thing all the time, and then I work out for an hour. But after this, fans took a little look into her sleep report, and they had some questions about how legit her early morning workout really was. One user wrote, Kim always says she wakes up at around 4 or 5 to work out, but every time she posts these things she actually wakes up way later. What is the truth, Kimberly? Another added, she's lying and these aren't actually her screenshots but what the company tells her to post. One fan even questioned the star, writing, who the heck sleeps for 9 hours with 4 kids?